that service for our folks here. So that's why I asked Dave and Jennifer to insert the dollars into the budget package, coming just from those restricted dollars and then moving from there. I don't know how long that's going to last. I don't know what kind of decisions or processes may come out of looking at the EMS programs and how they're provided in the East County. And does that mean that we're supplementing $150,000 this year and next year and the next year? I would think that we're going to be asked for a while once we put it out there, if we can afford it and if we have it in there and if we deem that to be a service that we want to do and provide to the citizens to the highest grade. And frankly, what we told them we were doing in the levy election that took place. Is 3 years enough at $150,000? Is the economy going to come back, or valuations going to rise? Anybody's guess. I know at this point today we have a large amount of money that is dedicated just towards and restricted just towards EMS services that we have available to us. And I believe that we've got a duty to our taxpayers to provide that service and provide what they believe that they were voting on, which was the same as what we all believed as well. So with that, open the floor. Dave?
Can you give us a concise summary of what it is we're going to get for $150,000?
We will get a status quo in terms of service from Camas for EMS, and that is a locally stationed and staffed advanced life safety ambulance, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
And what do they get out of it? Are they going to buy the ambulance for that?
No, apparatus exists, staffing exists. So you've got a fixed cost unit there in terms of the overall system. Those costs are rising, as all of our costs are. They don't have enough revenue to support it. So
what contribution is Camas making towards these rising costs? Are we sharing that, or are we bearing the major portion of the burden? Or?
No, they're dipping into reserves, system reserves, in order to shore up. They will.
If we don't give them 150, they'll dip into the reserves.
They'll be dipping into the reserves as well, but less, not as much, 150 less. But I don't have, well, I might have the amount that they're dipping into the reserves in my files here.
I'm not so much interested in that, because that's a question of managing the budget. What I'm trying to figure out is there's been a rising cost. How much was the rising cost, and what portion of that is each of us paying?
I believe that this supplemental contribution and our overall contribution of revenue that come from these levies is proportionate to the services that we get in our share of the cost of the system. In fact, it's shy of it.
All right.
Actually.
Still shy of it. Their estimation off of Jones' numbers to staff and maintain and equip a two-person crew that is housed here 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, is somewhere in the area of $900,000 and above. What they bring in, what is brought in currently between the tax assessed valuation that the levy brings in, the portion that we turn over to Camas to run the system, and the charges, the billable charges that they're allowed for the residents that utilize the system, the transports and the medical care and that type of stuff that come from inside the city limits of Washougal. Those two numbers add up to something close to $700,000.
Last question, if I may. You indicated that they might revisit this issue and ask for the same contribution next year. Can we afford that?
If it's the same dollar amount and we don't spend dollars on anything other than what we foresee today in regards to EMS, we can afford it for 3 years.
Can we pay for personnel out of the EMS fund?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it's there for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eric, can I interject one minute here? Another advantage of what's in the contract is the two firefighters respond to structural fires within the city. NFPA, the standard that says we should have 15 firefighters on scene for a fire within 8 minutes. We're lucky to get 8 or 9 right now, so the 2 additional fires would be a boost. Current other requirements, state requirements are we have to have 4 firefighters on scene before we can enter a structure. We only have 2 on our engine right now, and sometimes 3. So that'd be another benefit to that as well.
If the ambulance is in town.
If the ambulance is in town,
Yep.
yes, and
60%
typically.
of the time they're out of town, aren't they?
Well, they respond to 3 or 4 EMS calls per shift, and they average about an hour and a half each, so you're looking about 6 hours maybe that they're on transporting during this time. So 3/4 of the time they should be in the city if they don't have training or other things going on within their own department.
Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe I misunderstood, but I thought the problem is not so much that costs have gone up, but revenue has gone down.
It's both.
It's both. I mean,
Okay.
you know, it's not, but proportionately, revenues are significantly down because of declining AV.
Do we have any sense of how, do you know off the top of your head, or maybe Jennifer knows, off the top of your head, how much the EMS levy revenue has decreased from, say, 2008?
I don't know if I have that exact number
I
with
don't
me.
think I've seen that number.
I have it, but I might have to cobble it together here.
Okay.
I have a more specific answer for Dave. It looks like there's a $380,000 problem for 2011. They had beginning cash in this fund of 193, and as proposed, the budget goes in the red 185 at the end of next year. So that's $380,000. So they're providing part of that, and then we would provide part of that. I'd have to get back to you with the specifics.
That's fine, and because one of my worries is cost-plus contracts are almost always a bad idea, because there's no incentive for frugality on the part of the supplier. And that was really one of the reasons that the contract was negotiated the way that it was I haven't seen the cost figures. They apparently are quite detailed. I can tell you in the past that requests for detailed cost figures, at one point, they wanted us to buy a new ambulance. And we said, well, show us the numbers and we'll see. And all of a sudden, the issue went away. It was, well, never mind, which meant to us that they didn't want to show.
That's not
Now,
my
that
sense.
was a couple of years ago. And the other thing that gives me pause, especially as related to cost, is, as I'm sure Dawn remembers, there was quite a brouhaha in the Post-Record in either '07 or '08 about an absolute explosion in fire department costs in Camas. The year was sometime in the fall, and they were already $300,000 over budget.